What up, tube? We're gonna try something here. I normally use microphones. I've gotten into using wireless microphones because it's just, I guess, better for everyone else to have something wireless on. And I don't know if maybe it's the microphones that I'm using. They're not like the most expensive in the world, I will admit. Um, it's not my normal Movo brand. Which, sidebar, if Movo's watching, I need a new camera, phone camera thing, tripod holder deal. So put it online where I can buy it. Because you haven't sponsored me for videos yet. I'm saying yet as a hint, but hey, you got to put it out there. But back to what I was saying. I had all this here, and it's just been difficult to get everything out because when I would go to do videos, for example, here, there we go. Now I'm back on the conversation I was having. When I go to do my videos and I'm trying to, do the sound's not coming out correctly. I totally forgot what record this was, by the way. Um, Funny, I left that open so I would be able to see it there, and then totally forgot to tell you what record it was. Oops, my bad. So I'm kind of just taking out some light from these containers is at the end. You know, this is like the end of the white paint in a lot of these instances. And it's the end of a lot of these paints also. You can see I have a couple cutouts here that I'm also going to be working with. Are you open? Why are you spilling out? Maybe you're. Oh, I see. Like some of the paint kind of dried. Um, Sidebar: I've been looking into ways to, dry paint if you need to get rid of it because we're, like I say, we're close to the end. This is it. And I did find where cat litter is really good for drying up paint before you throw it out. So I'm experimenting with that. I'm gonna just put this one back because you do have paint in here. And I'm wanting to get through these experiments here fairly quickly because I have a resin project coming up here pretty soon, and I don't want to wait to do that, until like I'm all out of other paints. So yeah, let's get that resin going. I'm just gonna, calmly add colors into this area here. Like I say, I want to get it on the butterfly and the heart. Get some colors in, and I'm adding in these smaller colors. These are, for the most part, are some craft paints that I'm using. And I'll tell you honestly, the trickery of it, whenever I mix up paints, I will just come back and, hey, I have a bunch of extras, leftovers. Um, let's see if anything, is still in the bottle. Yeah. Sometimes, yeah, there's still paint in there. So, I might take a little bit of, if I mixed up a pouring medium, or if I'm just using Floetrol, or just using glue and water, whatever I'm using, pouring substance, so that I can, experiment with that there. And like I say, there's no real rhyme or reason with this. I'm just adding colors in, just to see what sticks. I've actually had to clear off the table where, I was getting all of these, and you can kind of hear if you hear like a little bit of a noise inside of there, that's because I usually put a marble inside to keep the paints going. Whenever you're doing paints like this, you want to keep them, they're not going to be fresh forever, but you want to keep them as paint. So what I'll do, a little, you can hear it in that one. I'll put a marble inside of the um, bottle there, and I do this with the big bottles also when I mix them. It's not just these small ones, but because I was clearing some of these bottles out, see this one's almost done. Oh, you're about done. Yes, you're a perfect example. Because I'm clearing these out, and I want to get the rest of my paint and everything. I want my marble. So what I'll do is okay. Here's the marble from that one, and we'll just pop you on here with the rest of them. You can dry up. And when I get ready to make another painting at some point, I have a nice, marble chunk there that oh, I take that out already. This is a little chunky chunk. That's chunky. Right. You have paint. Hope I'm getting across, the both things. Hoping I just stop. Oh, this is even open. Meow. You get up there. So yeah. And a lot of the reason why I want to do this is that I actually need to get new glitter paint. See, this one here is about to go. I got a stretch of glitter in there. But I need to get some new glitter paints going. So the sooner I get that going, the better I feel. And, when you get to this point where you're just kind of throwing the rest of your paints on there. See, some of these bottles here I've already cleared out. So that's why I'm just like, yeah, let me see if I can just throw turn it upside down and maybe some paint will fall out. This bottle's kind of old, so I don't know if I'm going to be. What I'm hearing is that you can actually, like, you don't have to throw away the plastic bottles if you don't want to. Once dry, you can clean them out. But at the same time, it becomes a case of, okay, well, now you're cleaning the plastic. Well, what's going to happen with that? And the water from that there. The water is more of the difficulty with acrylic paints. Like even just washing my hands, I have to be careful. But or washing my body sometimes. Even with washing up, you have to be careful. But I'm like, anyone who deals with paints knows this. There are certain substances that you don't want to put down your sink and all that. So, like I say, I try to be careful with disposing of everything and making sure that I have every last drop of these empty. Prior to disposing, prior to even considering disposing. Get every drop of it out. Good pattern right there. There's a funky. That's a funky one. you're looking kind of funky. Oh, you know what I didn't use? Oh, did I use it? I don't know if I used it. Because I did say like they were all those bottles, but did have some of this Liquitex also that I used. And I was just like, yeah, what's that color? You know, across the all right. Oh, don't scooch it. Don't you scooch on me. Don't you scooch on me. All right. So what do I want to do with this? Yeah. I want to scooch back, and I want to scooch forward, and I want to scooch the sky. Sure, scooch, scooch, scooch. Let's see here. How can I get a scooch out of this? Uh, you were the one that actually had something on it. This really isn't made for swiping. I'm just going to use it as a swipe. I'm just going to see what we can do here. Just because we have across. Um, yeah, normally I would make a separate wipe for swiping, but we're just grabbing what we have here and using what we got. Um, and I'm wanting to get a lot of this done now because I'm kind of in this thought that I want to do resin this month. This is the 1st of March, by the way, for anyone keeping track, dates and times, and yeah. The 1st of March is saying to me that, hey, there's a lot going on. Big 26, the commentators on my wrestling news program have been calling it Big 26. And, there's a lot going on in Big 26, personally, professionally, you know, here in the world, you know, immediately around us, in the big world, definitely around us. I'm not even going to wait for the lights to go off. Like, apparently, we started another war yesterday. Went into another war, or continued another war. You know, like, I'm not a death person, so you know, if there are people in Iran who are happy about the fact that the Iranian leader was killed, I can't really, it's kind of like you can't really say something, about what was the thing you say? Oh, racial slurs. You can't really like say that a person should be affected by a racial slur if you're not of that race. That's what they were saying on What Culture. Shout out. So, or sexual orientation or any, sort of slur like that. Um, so yeah, I guess I can't really, say bad about the guy from Iran if I'm not from Iran. Um, and I use that to say that I wouldn't say anything bad about the guy from America being from America. If, you know, just because I know y'all listening, but at the same time, I wouldn't want to see anybody die. And even if so thing that this person, you still have like what was this report of like 80 kids. At least when I went to bed yesterday, was at 80 something kids that were killed. Like an all girls school there. Um, I don't think you need to kill 80 kids just to get the one dude. That doesn't really justify it for me. But I'm remembering that and remembering hearing a friend of mine. This was a good over a decade ago, I guess, or at least a decade ago. It was a random school shooting here in America, a random mass shooting, and of course, I'm sad faced even before they had sad faces for it, and this person's like, "Oh, why are you so upset?" And my friend, before I even had a chance to get my own back, this is why you gotta love your friends because sometimes they got your back for you. She jumps in and she's just like, "Listen, he's sad for any death." And it's true, I am. I am very saddened by the idea of any death. You know, I'm gonna have to take this off anyway. I'm gonna do this. It's like, Derek, what are you doing? You're gonna have to take this off just to get to the, you know. I'm gonna take these two pieces just so I can show you how they look because I love them right now. This one here, I'm gonna try to let it come down a little bit into this corner. Sure that I get everything here. I am like chasing the sun on this one, folks. Because I already see it rising outside. I might as well just put the sun lights on. I don't know why I'm even trying to. Yeah, that's right. Get off your fingertips. Okay, I'm just gonna wash away. Yeah, that's good right there. I'm just gonna sit you down. Okay, and then butterfly, 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 butterfly. Oh, that butterfly's gonna be gnarly. Take a look at that. And these cutouts, by the way, I guess keep an eye out. I know that Lady Madeline, that's what we've called her, the Muse. We know that Muse has been, True Group Qigong, I guess also, giving away some of the cutouts pre-done because I like to put a resin coating on mine before I do anything with them. So she just took a bunch that didn't have the resin coating yet. So if you get one of those, that's what the dealio is. Cookies. Down in these little spots here, some more weight. And then let's just put some random colors on top of that also. It's like, let's just put some random colors on top of that because we can. See what we can get rid of. Because it was last week I did this, and I did it with a flower pot. Well, I guess this one's. And I really liked what happened afterwards. Yeah, okay, so here's another one for this experiment. If I get around to it, I'll show you how that all came out. You know, I don't want to do because I have paint all over my fingers. Always happens. Always like, yeah, let's do something. Oh wait, I got paint on me. I'm funny like that. So, but yeah, I want to make this a very cool sort of ingrowing area here. And when I did this the other day or last week, you know, because these two areas, or I think it was like one big area on the last one, but because the area, got mixed later, quote unquote. It just had a different look, different effect to it. You know, I liked it. It really kind of opened it up a bit more. So I'm very just sporadically dropping color onto this. Like, oh yeah, let's just put things here and here, a little bit here. I don't know if I'm gonna have enough to do, you know, the thing that I want to do. Um, yeah, I think whatever. I'm looking over here at my canvases to be painted, and I want to do new paint on them anyway. So definitely want to try that out. I've had new paints sitting for months that I haven't touched. Like, let's get rid of these first, which is smart. Yeah, old one, new one, whatever. And especially when I'm using this, technique here of using, some of the bottles over. Um, some of these are, this is a Liquitex soft body acrylic bottle here. Like I was saying, yeah, some of these are kind of decent bottles, so I want to be able to use them. Yeah, I see you, son. Here comes the sun. You go away. Enter something. Trying to describe that. There's like a little something out there. Yeah, I was not having that. You go away. You fly off. You fly off somewhere. You don't come fly over back. I'm just hitting the heat torch on these two cutouts also. Um, just because, I know that I want to make sure I torch everything real nicely. Do I have time to even think about lighting it up? Let's see. I don't know if I have time to light it up. We're about to find out. I know, but the cock-a-doodle doobie. Cock-a-doodle doo. Cock-a-doodle doo. Yeah, cock-a-doodle doo. I guess the positive is that next week the sun comes up an hour later because we lose an hour. However, that's supposed to work. I don't really believe in the whole lose an hour, gain an hour, sleep an hour type thing, but whatever. We're gonna have an hour of sleep. Um, yeah, we'll have an hour of extra sleep or no sleep, however you want to call that. Makes me wonder if they do the whole daylight savings over in the Middle East or if it's just bombs over Baghdad. Yeah, I know that's the song. Bombs over Iran, bombs over. I saw actually, speaking of bombs over Gaza, this really, really cute Instagram page. This young kid planting, and he's like, "Yeah, come see what I'm growing." I think he was growing corn. He's holding a cat. Anything with a cat's adorable for me. And as I watch the sun come up, I'm looking out at my own plants. They're more, house plants, not growing food yet. Did stick some chia seeds in. They're starting some growth, so I can call that food. I guess cat grass that I'm trying to grow right now is also food. I do have a ginger plant that I have harvested before. So, I mean, yeah, technically, I guess some food, but, no corn yet. Um, but, thinking about that kid, it just, yeah, you look at all around the scene and it's like rubble or whatever, and here's this kid holding a cat growing corn. And, just little things like that give you hope. Little things like that are light in the darkness, light that breaks through. And I'm not asking, who this kid is, you know, what version of God he prays to, if he even wants to be called a him, you know. I'm not asking any of these questions. I just see a kid holding a cat growing corn, and it makes me happy, especially in the midst of all the rubble there. That puts a smile on my face. That's a glimmer. Okay, that is light breaking through darkness. And I don't know, maybe you look at this video here and this is for you, light breaking through darkness. This is for you, a glimmer of hope. Be safe, everyone. Know that you are loved. We're going to get through this. Till next time, my friends. Deuces.